your service, like you have to provide an experience, and your experience starts with the groundwork, right? Like, what are some of the best armies? Yeah, you have some great generals, but you got some strong motherfucking foot soldiers.
Sure.
You know, so it's like, who are those people providing the daily experiences, right?
Right.
You know, and you know, if you can get some people, and this goes back to, you know, creating a team, right? I don't know what Gary Vee exactly said. I don't always like to shout out Gary Vee because he's a little too positive for me. Shit's just a little darker than, you know, a lot of people will like to.
I like it a little dark.
I love the dark.
You know, like
I live best in the dark.
Like Dustin was saying earlier, is you have to actually see it into believing. But there's two sides to that.
Yeah.
So there is the visualization, and like in rowing, we used to do this before the secret was ever dropped, where you'd visualize every stroke of the race before it started. Like downhill skiers visualize every turn.
Goddamn right.
It's that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
It's a play. Like it's a play.
Yeah.
What people don't understand about professionals, especially like people in like the Olympics and bobsled, not to cut you off, but it's like even golfers, right? Like they've played this hole. They've gone down this course. They've done this slalom. They've gone off these jumps hundreds of times.
But here's the key. All of that is practice for the pursuit of the action in which you have to stay balanced to achieve the goal. So when you're hit by waves of either emotion, physical, mental, or outside forces trying to push you off the track, how you fucking matrix your way through it and how you actually attack it will like determine whether you get it or not.
There's
like anyone can visualize being a millionaire.
Yeah.
Oh, millions. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Yeah. Like, what are you gonna do when shit gets hot? You gonna run to mommy?
Yeah.
You gonna fucking hide under your bed? Or are you gonna face it?
Yep.
Like,
gonna wake the fuck up, put 10 toes down, and fucking attack.
Yeah, whether it's a race
the
or
new
a
shit.
game,
The new shit is telling. You ever watch the first 48?
Oh yeah.
Everybody telling. I was like, oh shit, I gotta.
Because they know they're in the first 48 now.
Right. You know, and
not everybody can stand the heat, man. I think.
Yeah, and it's like here's the thing. Like, we're all dictated by fear.
Yeah.
Right. So like we make most of our decisions based upon fear, and then recently I was thinking
train
about
giveaway right now.
Hey.
We're gonna start doing giveaways every time.
Every time there's a train.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little clothing brand from it.
The train giveaway.
Urban Hippie T-shirt.
So recently, like here was something I was talking. I created a video about this the other day, but I was like, okay, so most of the decisions, like, we're all caught in circles and loops. We find ourselves repeating the same things over and over again. Even when we're watching ourselves do it, we can't break the cycle. Yeah. And the cycle is caught in place because of fear mostly, right? So like, you don't want to break the cycle because you're scared to break it. Yeah. But it's also caught in place for other reasons, like lust and greed. You know, like, lust keeps us in a cycle. Yeah. Greed keeps us in a cycle. Yeah. Fear keeps us in a cycle. Yeah. Right? So like, busting out of that cycle is the only way you're going to change your reality. So you want that $1 million? Well, you got to break your cycle. Yep. It's more than just like visualizing it and then doing the same thing that you do already. Yeah. Right. Getting mad at the same shit you get mad at. Yeah. Getting road rage. Doing the same fucked up, like, drugs or whatever the fuck fucks you up. Not, you know, I love, like, you know, whatever it is, whatever's throwing your balance off. Like, to actually achieve what you want to achieve, to visualize it and see it, is you got to have like this practice, this balanced practice that helps you break the cycle. Yeah. Because if not, like, that first, you're going to the millions, then all of a sudden, whoosh, you get caught in a cycle. Yep. Whether it's lust or fear or greed or whatever the fuck puts you in that cycle, you're still caught in that, and you're not going straight no more. Mm-hmm. And then you're like looping around, and you're like, why do I keep doing the same shit over and over again? Why is my bank account look the same? Why am I not coming up? Why, like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I in this cycle? I'm thinking differently.
So what are you gonna tell that person in that cycle? How do you get out of it?
Yeah. It's a practice. It's a discipline. So whether it's like a martial arts or a meditation or just your daily discipline, is you break the cycle through a discipline. Yeah. So what I tell everyone, like when I talk to depressed people, you know, I ran like a mentorship program at a homeless shelter for a couple, like almost a year.
I remember that.
And I'm going back to it. I got too depressed to do it.
I got you.
It's fucking hard, bro.
Did you take
exchange of energy is real?
Yeah, it's real, and it was like I felt like I was getting nowhere with these.
Watch what you surround yourself with.
Yeah, it's hard. It was really like I had to take a break.
I got you.
What happened was I was doing one-on-ones, and it was working really well. And then I did groups, and I had to leave. I couldn't handle.
Was it too much energy?
Like, dudes were fighting with each other in the group, and I'm like, fuck, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
I'm jumping in.
These guys got street beef.
I'm jumping in.
Really? It was like,
if you don't know how to fight, I'm gonna come show you.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's a bunch of ex-gangbangers and shit. And it's all
you ever notice how a lot of street motherfuckers don't know how to fight? You ever see some of those like Chicago rapper videos?
It's just flailing.
Or they like
put your hands up and fight behind your face.
They do the major lean back.
It's like shooting darts.
Just major lean back. That's one
Hey man, we're gonna
snap.
we're gonna take a little break, man. That's a good little part 1, and we're gonna try and convince Josh here to do a part 2 with us. But we got exotics, man. We're gonna smoke on some GMO. Get burnt.
Get that litty. Get that exotics.
No, and shout out to exotics.
One of the only top strains I smoke for sure.
If you don't fuck with exotics, man, they got
and companies.
They got one of the best brands out, and but the nice thing about a nice brand when it's backed by a quality product.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are trendsetting, man. Like it's not everybody can, and I can tell you from somebody who kind of failed in it, right? Is not everybody can.
I failed hella times before.
Right, not everybody can produce a brand.
Just so it's know, like I failed so bad, and Dustin saw that,
and that's why he's successful.
Bro.
We fell together.
So I don't even consider failure as part of it.
What a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people might know, is Josh here is actually one of my first and top, I guess, like
one of
liaisons. The one.
I'm just kidding.
There's Neil over here, baby.
I gave Dustin his first job in pop culture.
True.
And I gave
He's
him
not
other
lying.
jobs after that.
He's not lying. Absolutely, he's not lying.
He was the sound man for Soul Gorilla, SGTV, with Soul Gorilla Video.
SGTV, baby.
Hey man. Hey, and you know what? Let's end this on this. I think if anybody can take anything from anything, don't be afraid to build your network.
No.
Don't be afraid to take a chance on somebody that you might think they're batshit crazy, but I can promise you. I think Bill Clinton said it in a book, right? And I don't know what he was talking about exactly. It's a little deep, but I think it had something to do with like the moon landings or something. But he was like, "Look, I went in my presidency thinking this guy was crazy, but by the end of it, I thought he was the smartest man I ever met."
Mm.
Now look, I'm not trying to say anything there.
I like that.
All I'm saying is, hey, embrace your network, because a network will build something. You can't do things by yourself.
No.
50% of $100 million pie is a lot better than 100% of a million.
A $0 million.
Zero.
I'll take 50% of a $5 million pie.
I'll take 50% of $100 as opposed to zero.
I'll take 50% of that blunt. You know?
Yeah. No adrenochrome.
Yeah. It's all 25.
Exotics is fire.
No numbers.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel you. I don't look at numbers either.
Yeah,
No
but
numbers.
I think the funny, just as a grower, right? Like the funny thing is, like the highest percentage strains are going to be sativas, right? But what do sativas do? Those aren't the ones that knock you down.
Right.
You know, so it's that hey, I want to get as high as possible, so let me get that highest percentage. Give me
that
that 30, but it's probably a sativa base. And I think it's an interesting conversation we were talking about earlier. I can't remember who it was, so I won't say the person's name. You know, kind of how the indica sativa thing is kind of been the norm, right? But he was kind of saying that it's now indica sativa and Kush. Kush is its own kind of lineage in itself.
Right.
You know, I think the one thing that kind of intrigued me, just being in the commercial grow setting or cultivation setting, is, you know, sativa and indica doesn't necessarily dictate, you know, whether it's the cerebral or the physical, right?
That's correct.
You know, and so much depends on that, you know, what type of cannabinoid profile it is.
Right.
And we were talking about it earlier, like CBD, right? Like that's the new wave, right? And if you're trying to get in the cannabis game,
and the terp profile, which is technically different.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you know, and the terpenes are a field in itself, right?
Right. So like I consider, when I think of effect, or when I try to describe effect to people, it's like, okay, well, you have the cannabinoid profile, which is your THC, CBD, CBG, CBN, you know, and write down that chain, and there's a bunch of them, and a bunch of different variations of it. There's THC Delta 9, Delta 8, there's CBD Delta 8, there's a whole bunch of variations of the cannabinoid profile. So those all have one set of effects, which is really physical.
Right.
And then you also have the terpene profile, which every single terpene profile has its own set of onset that actually hits you much faster than the cannabinoid profile. So when you originally when you first smoke the product, the terps are going to hit you within seconds,
right.
like 10 to 30 seconds. You're going to have the full onset of whatever that terpene profile. So if it's like a limonene, or like in that range,
sativa dominant.
Yeah, that kind of sativa dominant, you're going to get racy.
Yeah.
If it's like an indica dominant terpene profile, you're gonna be sedative.
What do you prefer?
Indica. But because I'm an anxious motherfucker.
Yeah.
But like
I need a sedative base as you can get.
Yeah, but I do like a good hybrid in general because like as a
hybrids
day
are good for the day for
like
me.
Yeah, exactly. But then nighttime I like indica, and every once in a while I'll throw a lemon in there, like when I really want to get going on a Monday morning or some shit.
Yeah.
You know, like I still
the lemonine's fire. Like
like the limoncello.
The classics.
Yeah,
man,
like I
classics.
still fuck with it, but like I agree, it's a lot.
That classic lineage, and like that's one cool thing about me is about now that it became legal. And we were talking about earlier, all the research. I mean, think about how much we would know about this plant if it didn't get banned. And I don't think it was the 30s, whatever it was.
30s.
Almost 100 years ago, right?
Yeah, 32.
Right. Yeah, almost 100 years ago when you think about it. Like think about all the research and the knowledge we would have about this plant if it hadn't been banned and we could have the research. Like just think about, since we went legal, 4 or so years ago.
Sure.
Right. I mean, just the amount that we've learned in this 4 years period is insane. Obviously our technology is crazy.
The beautiful thing about it getting banned, and like the reason why this is all part of the necessary.
I'm happy about it because now it's a subculture.
It became the culture, right?
Yep.
Subculture.
So the subculture. So because of that, now it has the ability to take the world over, like 10 times over, way bigger than any music or any other type of subculture before it, because it's a real physical thing that you can
social media
enjoy.
One that there's a lot of monetary gain if you did it right.
Right. The whip on that subculture shit is hardcore. Yeah. Like the fact it's spent so many years aggregating potential energy in the underground means that now it's gonna exponentiate on the world 10 times over.
And it's universal.
Yeah. Right.
It crosses all boundaries.
Everyone loves
it. Bob Marley, reggae,
Peter Tosh,
the whole movement, right?
Sure.
And then we were talking about it on. We talk about a lot of podcasts. I'm gonna get dreads one day.
I fuck with that shit, dude.
I might even have to put the flowers on at some point. I got some old. I went to Sunday of Coachella. I was down there finishing.
Were you? Is that already got that?
Yeah, I was finishing my Urban Hippie book. My boy Chuck, who's coming out with he just finished his pilot. It's like a reality pilot. It's called 30-Day Notice. You remember you guys seen the movie Failure to Launch with Matthew McConaughey and the Sex and the City chick?
Yeah, I saw that.
Sarah Jessica Parker or something.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, but it's kind of that theme where he was a successful guy, but whatever his reasons were, he just he was still living at home. They needed him out.
Right.
They gave him like this notice, right? So it kind of takes that kind of premise in the reality sense where they hit him with a 30-day notice, and I think the first pilot episode was like, I want to say it was like I don't know what she did. It was her, successful enough, did a traveling type job, like a stewardess type thing or something. But just, for whatever reason wasn't moving out of the house. So they hit her with a 30-day notice, and that's the premise.
Her parents did?
Yeah.
That's like a hot thing right now in modern culture.
I think they have a host. Yeah. Like, I think they have a host. That I don't know what to relate it to, but I think they have a host that goes in and he kind of structures it all and narrates it or whatever. But yeah, no. So I mean, it was cool. So shout out Chuck, Charlie Warden. He works for WB. He's had scripts by
Were you fuck with him in LA or where were you at?
That was in Palm Springs. So I was in Palm Springs finishing the Urban Hippie thing. He was just kind of give me the. So
tell me more about that. How are you putting that out?
So the Urban Hippie, man, it was originally called Metri.Motion, which is the website that I'm going to use to kind of structure where you can get to the books and the podcasts and stuff like that. Kind of be the home-based platform. But so I was the Ballin' in Brazil book that I was telling you about, my 2011 season in Brazil.
What's it called?
Ballin' in Brazil.
Nice.
2011 season down there, we won the championship. It was after I got kicked off the team in Austria, my first year overseas for the Red Bull sponsored team.
I like your story so much because it's like it brought me into a world where I just didn't even know existed. There's an American football culture all over the world.
Yeah, no,
that Americans are participating.
It was crazy.
How many American players could you have on your squad down there?
Depending on the country, it was up to 4. Usually you could have 2 on the field at one time. So most teams had 2 on offense, 2 on defense, so 4 total.
And then you could pick from anywhere else in the world besides that?
Yeah, I mean, they could take them from anywhere, yeah. Yeah, really? Man. It was, so like I was saying, Germany probably had the biggest and best, most established league. Austria's league, the first year I played in overseas for the Red Bull team, had the smaller league, but they had the top 2 best teams in Europe. They did the Premier system, where it was kind of based off the structure of the soccer.
Right.
You know, you had your state, you know, your country league, and then the kind of like the Euro league. But yeah, man, it was yeah. So I mean, I wrote that. I got like 450 pages in 2000. That was in 2011 when I did it. I wrote it after I retired in like 2014. And it was like 450 pages. I did drafts 2 to 4, and I got it down to like 160. Draft 4 was like 180. So I'm going through and kind of doing the final edit on that one. And it's the first time that I've gone through it that I knew that it was final. Right, like I just wanted to get it done.
How's it feel?
Good.
Yeah.
And so the Urban Hippie one came about. So like I wrote drafts 2 to 4. I ended in from 2014 to 2016. And before I could do this final edit, I'm like halfway through the final edit on Ball in Brazil. I like, you know, it's kind of like riding a bike, right? Like I knew how to ride the bike, but I was rusty.
Right.
So I'd always want to do a short story book just about like the memories. I always tell people like either smoke too much weed or I have CTE. Hopefully it's the first one.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's the first one.
I don't think I have CTE.
Yeah. I hope not. I probably not, because I didn't practice hard enough.
Did you take a lot of big hits?
No.
Right.
I
watched that
I was too elusive.
Yeah, I watched that Muhammad Ali.
And I'm low budget, so I gotta go change these cameras really quick, man.
Okay.
Take us on. Did you play sports in high school?
I was a rower.
Oh, there you go. What did you do? Did you do in college? I can't remember.
I rode in college as well, but not as long.
Okay.
I bounced out to pursue a career in chasing pussy and doing drugs, which actually turned into a lifetime career until I got married or whatever the fuck I am now. And
that's where we met.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that kind of pursued my music vision. Where I met you, Dustin.
You were there. You were.
Where was the first time we met? Was it at Tabella?
No, it was in my dorm room actually.
Oh, that's right, with Chad.
Yeah, with Chad.
Dustin's old roommate was this like super legit rogue breakdancing videographer, kind of quasi legend in Seattle.
Yeah.
A semi-legend for sure, this guy Chad, and that's why I met Dustin, because they were roommates, and I went back to Chad's house one day. We smoked a lot of weed together, and he was doing our video work.
Yeah.
And Dustin was sitting up in there.
Yeah, I came home and there's hella people. It was you.
A bunch of official motherfuckers were in his house.
And
he was like, "What the hell is going on?" I had my whole soldier of the crew in there.
I just got out of.
We were heavy at that time. We were doing all this nightclub promotion, right?
Yeah.
So it was like we were running big events all over Seattle, just like bussing women all around town, basically. That was our racket before the drugs.
It was the text message send off
before the medicine.
Yeah. Right, before the meds.
Yeah, I got out of class and it was you, it was B-Boy, it was Chernikov, and it was Benito, and you were all in my like living room, and I walk in and Chad's sitting there on a laptop like editing video.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, this is my roommate Dustin, and he does audio." And then like you started talking to me, Chernikov started talking to me, and then it was on from there.
I remember that. That Dustin ended up being our sound man for a lot of our early video work back in the day when we were doing like a lot of breakdancing videos.
You got some video skills, Whiskey Papi?
Oh,
I don't even know who Dustin is anymore. It's Whiskey Papi to me now.
Papi?
Whiskey Papi.
Whiskey Papi?
He'll always be Dustin to me, but
it's Dusty, bro.
Fat, sexy Drake.
I can't.
Sexy Drake.
Sexy Drake.
Sexy Drake.
Yeah, the fucking
the 6 and 6 chips with the dip.
Hey,
he's
I won a lot of money off that.
I remember
serious.
Drake. I first in college. My boy Luke put me on, but he was October '86 like me, and that was when he had like Marvin's Room, and like he was getting emotional before he went all like super cool Drake,
That was the best era of the Marvin's Room era.
Bro, that Marvin's.
That's when I really
I think Whiskey Papi said it, man. Like, hey, you know who never did you wrong? Tom. He wasn't giving you information.
Nope.
He wasn't giving you location.
He didn't censor you.
Tom never did you wrong, man. If we could bring back, if there's somebody that could bring back MySpace that's crazy enough to pay me some money to promote it.
I know.
I'm thinking of shit.
Think about it. You could set your vibe. Like, bro, Marvin's Room was my MySpace. You have the top 8. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have your top 8. Like,
right?
No censor. You could do whatever you want. Like, it was a beautiful time.
No data capture.
Yeah. Now let's go political, man. How you feel about Trump?
Here's my general feeling.
You secretly love him.
No, I don't, because I don't love any con artist.
Yeah, thank you.
But like I do, but like coming from like a sort of the background I come from with the father I was raised by, like it's not about like love or not. Here's one thing I do recognize about Trump that I actually kind of am fascinated by is his foreign policy seems to be effective. And
America
like,
first.
Yeah, well, yeah, and also
America first.
I mean, that's like
why did he win? Like, why did he win? Why did Donald Trump win the presidency?
He won was the exact same reason I was running around PDA Lounge telling every single person during the Obama era that would listen to me, and I have 1 million people that'll verify this. I said, watch what the backlash is going to look like of white rage on this one. Yeah. Like, you think that this shit's going to be pretty? This backlash is going to be so fucking ugly. It's going to look like a tsunami. And so the backlash was.
So are you pro Obama?
No.
Did you like Obama? Do you like any? I mean, so you.
No, I wasn't. I was. Look, I liked the idea of Obama.
I did too.
But you know, just like everyone else, I'm not like a Obama hater though. I'm not one of those guys.
Oh,
and I get it. But look, the reason
I expected the first black president was Abraham Lincoln.
Maybe
have you ever seen a real picture of him?
He was pretty black. He looked like Snoop Dogg, sort of, I guess.
Yeah, I don't care what you tell me. That's a black man. I grew up around him. That's a black man. I know what one looks like. That's a black man. The real pictures, not like the modernized pictures.
You could be right, man. I don't.
No,
I don't know enough. I'd have to look at more.
No, I wasn't there.
If you really look,
look
into it, like his parents are from African descent.
Really?
Yeah, like
I've never even. I like.
I don't want to say his parents, but like his like his grand. I think it was like a grandparent, but like
I mean, the way I like to say it is
his hair was not white.
Yeah, like
he didn't have hair like me.
Yeah, I mean and that very well could be true.
It's extremely tall too, right?
Like
6'7".
Well, that doesn't mean fuck.
Yao
Ming says that doesn't mean shit.
Well,
he was tall as fuck. That I do know, and that's why I was like, he might have some Snoopy shit going on. He was very wise. Clearly, he was a great president. Here's the Obama like. Here's what I say about modern politics in general. I'm generally I do the thing that everyone says is the worst thing to do, and I step out of it because
it's the best. Why is that the worst thing?
Because it's like you're supposed to participate in America, but for me, like that not participating is my participation.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And the reason why is because like I don't believe that any of them are talking about the shit that I find important.
Well, I think I said
100% agree with you on that.
That's like a weird thing to say because it's like, well, what do you?
No,
I'm like, well, I truly, I'm not seeing what I'm finding important being talked about, so I don't participate.
So,
and if one person would talk about what I find important, then I would follow that person.
So. Speak on this,
but I'm also against radicalization. I don't believe in the radical right or radical left.
I'm very against
I think they're both equal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
extremists. You should never be an extremist.
Yeah,
in anything.
And I know it's like not cool to be like, well, like the only ones who are winning right now are radical right and radical left. But like for me, I don't believe in that. I do think AOC.
So what would you describe your political stance? Like what other than?
I mean, like, so I get into this conversation all the time with my buddy who's down in Sacramento, who's like a quasi super sophisticated dude who used to be a liberal and now is a Trump fan.
I was a quasi professional football player overseas. So
yeah,
I like that term.
Yeah, he's sophisticated and he's really difficult to debate and stuff. He's brilliant. So, I get in this conversation with him where he tries to call me like I'm a Clinton leftist or a Reagan or a Bush one. See, Bush won and Clinton actually had the exact same political stance. They were just two different. They were actually both in the center, and they were the exact same. If you actually looked at the lineage of what they stood behind, it was almost identical. And that's why actually Bush 1 was a great president. And that's when he actually knocked down. That was when the Soviet wall fell. Yeah. And like he was really.
Bush 1 was a great president.
He was a great president. He was
the NWO guy.
Yeah, all right.
The New World Order.
I mean, if you want to go that, the
Bushes be running shit. I'm not talking shit about the Bushes. I have much respect.
Do you know
Harold and Kumar? I love the Bushes.
Do you know their?
Look, I'm not going to say that. Look, if you look at it from a New World Order perspective, that was put into play way before Bush, and like no president has any control over that.
No, 100%. Like a bad back, or bad shoulder, or a bad neck, or.
What I do is I box. I pretty much do strictly like jump rope and heavy bag. That's it. Like I won't do anything else. Mostly, and for the most part, I'll do like some technique stuff, but I'll do like I'll do jump rope for like 30 minutes, at the beginning to try to like just exhaust myself almost. And jump rope, when you try to do jump rope and you actually try to like do it thinking about balance only, you know, and trying to build that whip effect, you know, like you can and try to exhaust yourself, literally like exhaust yourself from it. Like you can actually have like really good positive effect on your balance. Like this is the reason why I box, for balance, right? So I do that, and then when I box, I always fight ambidextrous, and I try to do a completely equal amount of work on both sides. And I also try to fight like when I don't do like a southpaw style. When I fight southpaw, like I do a standard style at southpaw, because you know, like the
so what is the difference then? I just
like a southpaw style is you hold your left hand here, like you do a clamshell with your left, and you swing your right.
Okay.
That's like the standard southpaw, and you're just kind of like reaching with your right, and you're trying to like use your right like a power.
You're picking.
You're picking with your right.
I guess I do the same like you. I guess I do the same from both sides.
Right, but the key is you like, and just for balance purposes,
it's
like
fluid. It's fluidity, and when you're coming from that low angle, it throws people off.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that makes sense.
And so like I challenge myself like on the heavy bag. Like what I'll do is I'll do like a technique where I'm trying to figure out the part of my punch that's the absolute weakest, like the angle I'm the worst at which part of my punch, and I'll just work the shit out of that. Like that's so muscle memory. Like when I focus on, like, let's say it's a crouch position, like left cross, like from the left-handed position, like left cross, because it's like your left, or you know, your left cross or your left, like it won't be that strong because you're a right-handed dude. So I'll focus on just doing that for like a half hour. And just like beat the shit out of it until it feels so good that when I focus back and do like a standard style, like that part of my posture is built up. So then just the standard like left straight from a right-handed position is easy because I've worked on that part of myself that's weak. And so like I do that, and I actually spend a lot of time working with the amateurs over there, the Gold Glove dudes and the pros that train out of there.
Where you be training at?
At Seattle Boxing Gym.
That's good. That's a good gym.
Cool.
There's some legit shit going on in that gym, actually.
Before I moved down to San Diego, I was looking at different gyms. That was one of the ones I was thinking about going to. That or the UFC gym down there.
Yeah, the Salvador.
Yeah, and then I ended up moving down to San Diego, and like within a mile from my spot is Victory MMA. Dean Lister, Jocko Willink is an owner. And then Dean's like the black belt.
What do you train over there?
I don't do any jiu-jitsu. I do boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing.
Yeah, I need to get my kickboxing game together, bro.
And I can't do jiu-jitsu just because for me, I played football, so like wrestling around with a bunch of dudes.
It's too much.
Another thing in my life, for another stage of my life. Like, I think just if you follow fighting, the most dominant fighters are gonna have that wrestling jiu-jitsu background, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can grapple and lock up and make it that type of match, you're gonna be dominant.
Right.
But you have to get there.
Exactly.
Get on both.
Most fights start standing up, so you know you have to get there. But I think the foundation of it, I mean, just is proven by the champions, right? Wrestling, jiu-jitsu background people have the best opportunity to win.
It's true.
It is.
Yeah, no, for me, it's just.
And I don't know enough to necessarily comment on that. Although my one argument would be that, like, if you were extremely pronounced at kickboxing or boxing or whatnot.
And it's not that there's not exceptions. I just think, you know, when you look at the percentage.
No, you're right. But it's also kind of built for that, right? Because there's like certain things you're not allowed to do, right? Like, you can't mash somebody's head into the ground over and over.
And the thing about a fight is it only takes one punch.
Right.
It really does.
You know, and fight the fight.
You can't choke somebody out because like boxers are hella good.
And the fights are starting on their feet. Boxing is just so rigged that like.
Boxing doesn't count. I mean, the judging doesn't count. But I mean, the art form of boxing is really interesting.
Absolutely, I love it.
My dad's an asshole in a respectful way, but you know, like he would always tell me, like, growing up, like, you know, that anything that's judged is not a real sport. And you can take that different ways, right? Like, I'm not necessarily co-signing that. But it is, you know,
there's an element of truth to that,
right? Same thing with soccer. I don't like ties, like, you know.
And hockey.
Look, have as many overtimes as you want, or just go straight to PKs. But why are you having ties? This is a professional sport. Why are you having ties? Because of betting. Just like split decisions.
Sure.
Just like draws. Right. Canelo Alvarez. or Canelo Triple G.
Yeah.
Triple G whooped his fucking ass.
That first fight, clearly Triple G.
Yeah, you're
won.
still. I remember you're
like
still.
fight.
Yeah, you are. You're still on that. You're
no,
still
well,
on.
no,
Yeah.
Triple G won that first fight.
Come on.
There was no
Come on.
doubt.
Won
The second
fight. It was closer.
I would have given it to Triple G. Yes,
It was closer,
but to me that was a draw.
Right.
To me that was the
could
draw.
have been a draw.
That was
I
the
would've
draw.
been fine with that.
The first one was Triple G all the way.
It really was.
Nobody.
We watched that one live, and
I remember that. We were at
live,
Aston
too,
Manor in like because
it was hard to watch. And
was
the second
early.
time,
What?
after I watched that second time, I literally stopped. I mean, I had already stopped giving up on boxing health class, but that's time I really
if you want to know,
if you want to know
who, this is a piece of advice. If you want to know who wins a fight, watch it without sound.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, I know.
Watch it without sound because the commentators. Not saying all like a lopsided clear victory is a victory.
I don't listen to them though. I haven't.
No, I don't either. I pretty much tune them out.
I know what they're all pulling for who they want to see.
I don't mind Rogan.
Like,
I don't mind DC.
Yeah, Canelo's the future of boxing. I understand why they had to put him in that spot.
Yeah.
Triple G's
He's my favorite fighter.
To be considered the greatest in the world. But Triple G single-handedly
was. Who are the pay-per-view players paying to watch? Triple G or
Lomo, Triple G,
had a pretty good following though. He wasn't like
Lomo, Triple G.
What's the weight difference between Canelo and Loma?
Loma's like 32.
He's
Triple 30 pounds lighter.
And Canelo's like 65.
Yeah,
30 pounds lighter?
Yeah, Canelo's 65. Yeah.
Triple G, they fought at 160. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Loma's
130?
Yeah, he's 130.
He's
so he's a tiny.
Yeah, he's a lightweight.
Yeah.
Okay. But like Lomachenko but Triple G was fought at 160.
That just goes to show how much more impressive Mayweather was he went from like 120 to 160 or
148. 148.
But it also
he started at like 120, 130.
126 to 148.
But Mayweather spent his entire career professionally dodging Triple G.
He's the best of the generation.
No.
Oh,
he spent his entire career professionally dodging Triple G. Triple G has
what weight was
160. Bro, he would never fight Triple G. He never fought him.
Well, would you? If you were Mayweather?
Not. But like Mayweather,
so he was smart.
No, because
Mayweather was the smartest boxer to ever live.
But the reason why he's not the greatest of all time, I am a huge Mayweather fan.
I am too, and I agree.
I would never.
I am too,
like people used to tell me I was like a dick rider for this dude because I love defensive boxing. But like the fact why he's not the best of all time is because he fucking dodged Triple G. Everyone knows about the fact that he dodged Pacquiao. But no one talks enough, except for the real boxing fans, talk enough about how he dodged Triple G. Triple G had the one style that would have decimated Mayweather. It's 100% power shots all the time. Triple G knows how to throw. No, he doesn't throw jabs.
He's taking punches to get his punch.
He doesn't fucking do anything but power shots. 100% power. Everything is power. And so a guy like Mayweather, who's spending all his time dodging jabs and staying out of the way of like power, can't do anything when someone brings a fury like that and doesn't stop and knows how to throw shit from everywhere.
I mean, just playing the devil's advocate, I can see that. I would agree that would be his toughest fight.
It would have been tough. I'm not saying he would have just beat him or anything.
No.
I would just love to have seen it, bro.
Yeah, no, just it
was the fight we needed to see.
just playing devil's advocate, right? That would be an amazing. I would much rather see Mayweather Triple G than Mayweather Canelo. Right. Like for sure, because the style.
Well,
Mayweather. He got a young Canelo. He got a young Canelo, and just the style. Like anybody playing that speed technical game is not going to beat Mayweather. Right. And that's why I insert Triple G, power style, different style, take charge, take ownership of the ring style. Even though Mayweather is a defensive counter boxer. Yeah, that would be
It'd be tough because Triple G starts in the center of the ring and pushes you back, dude. And he has no one has the kind of energy and the kind of like tenacious attack that Triple G had, bro. Like he didn't throw bad jabs, dude. He literally was like, he'd just come in at you until you didn't know what to do. Like Pacquiao. So my favorite fighters of all time, from a style standpoint, are Mike Tyson, Pacquiao, and Triple G. And Mayweather on the defensive side for sure. But Pacquiao was the first guy that showed you that you can literally throw a punch from anywhere at any time on both sides. Left hand, right hand. He would bounce back and forth. Yeah. Completely he would throw punches from his hips, from the tops of his shoulders, from behind, from the middle of his body like a sidearm pitcher. He would throw punches from overhand. Yeah. He would throw uppercuts out of nowhere. Left hand, right hand, jumping around. Yeah.
He broke street style coming at you.
Total street. He broke down the idea of being a left-handed or right-handed fighter.
It was street fighting, but he was fine-tuned as a boxer.
Right, and that's why
that's dangerous.
And that's why that was the other guy who obviously could have beat Mayweather in his prime because he had a style that was totally unorthodox. And when you're an orthodox, perfect defenseman like Mayweather was, like when you have dudes who have unorthodox styles like Pacquiao in his prime, like throwing from every fucking position, you don't want to see that shit. You don't know something could catch you, right? Triple G, who doesn't throw jabs that Mayweather can just brush off. Like you're not going to brush off like a hard, like 3 or 4 or 5 hard left and right combination. You're not going to brush those off like this with your fucking glove like he does all the time. You're not going to be able to brush that shit off. You're going to sit here and get caught. Like, you know, and then all of a sudden you're going to be in the corner. And, like, once Triple G gets on top of you, dude, he's punching downwards. That's that lean forward, perfect style that he has where you can punch down on people, you know?
Don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of people might get, like, be like, oh, nah,
I love
whatever,
Canelo, too, though.
whatever.
I love Canelo.
But
so I would never
he's
knock
very
it.
technical.
So,
yeah, love
I personally,
his only loss
I love Mayweather. Like, Mayweather's my guy, right?
He lost
But
to Triple G.
Mayweather has a loss. And that guy was
What'd you just say?
He has a loss.
Who?
Zab Judah.
Who?
If you look back on that fight,
no.
Zab
He
Judah
lost
beat
his
the
ass?
Zab Judah beat the shit out of him.
I don't agree.
You go back and watch that fight. Absolutely.
And I've watched
I'd
it
have to
without
watch it
sound.
again,
I don't
though.
agree. I don't agree.
Really?
I've had this argument with some close friends, and I
Zab
don't
Judah
agree.
beat him up.
I had to go. No, that was arguably his toughest fight. 100%.
Absolutely.
But
And don't get me wrong, I'm
but Mayweather won
Mayweather.
that fight. In a draw, right? You got to give it to the champion. You got to give it to the more technical, more aggressive boxer.
True.
And more aggressive doesn't mean going forward. More aggressive means dominating the exchanges.
Right, or pushing the center of the ring.
Yeah,
dude.
like I had some friends I respect wholeheartedly, and they'll know if they watch this, they'll know who they are. But I agree. Whiskey Papi. I agree that was his toughest fight, 100% closest fight. But Mayweather won that fight, and to Mayweather's credit,
I don't think he lost any fights he fought, as far as I saw.
No,
I did see the Zab fight,
yeah,
and I know that was a big one.
He did not.
Whiskey, I would have to watch that again. Sound off. Now that I know more, like I've been a more concentrated
Sound off
boxing
tonight.
fan in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, like I grew up with a heavy bag in my basement, but like I only really got serious after I quit rowing, because I realized that boxing and rowing are the exact same moves but backwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like rowing. It's like the exact full body extension whip
Uh-huh.
from the heel all the way through the like
Rather
your
than
hand.
like here?
In rowing, it's like through the heel to the hands, but backwards.
I was
Instead
doing
of
that
forwards,
today.
you whip it backwards.
Harbor
So,
Square, the machine.
yeah,
though,
it like
the
actually
machine.
feels good. It almost exercises that part of my body that's.
I've never
calloused
actually
from doing
rowed
it too
on
much.
water. Let's go rowing together sometime.
I'll take you rowing, bro.
So no, seriously, I've never actually done it on water.
Let's go.
But I
Let's
do
go.
it.
I'm
But I
down.
do it for training.
Yeah, we'll sit on the rowing
decent
machine. I'll
amount.
teach you. Just make sure your technique's right. We'll get out
Oh,
there.
my technique's good. I learn quick, man.
I'm sure you do.
I learn
It's not
quick.
that hard if you
Yeah.
are
I learn
actually
quick.
into it.
No,
But it's a weird thing. It's like boxing where you actually have to learn like your hands go first.
Yeah.
Like it's basically arms, body, legs.
You know the
body,
part.
arms,
what's
body,
the movie
leg, you
with
know?
Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yep.
Where they're at the dinner table and he like knocks the bottle of wine over and she catches it.
Mm-hmm. He's like, "You are a spy, bitch."
Yeah, like that's me. But no, that's me. I got those reflexes.
I bet you do.
No, I do. Like
Oh, I mean,
not
if you
to
were a
be-
professional football player, I mean,
yeah, like
clearly.
bro, I had
Safety. You were
I had,
safety, right?
I had two. I was safety in college. I was a quarterback my whole life up through high school until college. I
I don't
switched
doubt
over.
it. Yeah. No, you would pick it up fast, but it's just like anything else. It's muscle memory.
It is, yeah. It's but there's, I always tell people, man, like I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I'm smart enough to understand that. You
Right.
know?
You know what you don't
I know when I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room. And in fact, if I could choose it myself, I would always be the least intelligent, smart, sharp, motivated person in the room, because if I'm not, then I'm not being challenged. I'm not being motivated to do better, right?
That's true.
You should never surround yourself with people that don't have more potential than you. And they always say, I don't know what the quote was, I don't know if it was Bill Gates or who it was, but I always want to hire somebody that is either smarter than me, has more potential than me, or that fills one of my weaknesses, right?
Right.
Don't ever hire somebody that does what you do. Right? Hire people that do what you don't do. Hire people that do what you're not very good at, right? Or bridging all those gaps, How would you relate that to, when you for somebody like you who's getting into different fields, different businesses, right?
Right.
How do you manage one kind of harmony between different beats?
You know, it's a great question. Like, I spent a lot of my time trying to control, or like years, trying to control people or fit them into a mold. I shouldn't say well, I mean, maybe I did try to control people at the beginning, and then less
I think
and
you
less.
have to a
I think
certain
so.
extent.
Yeah, you know.
I think we all did at one point.
You have to control the course. You have to be the captain, right?
And then so I've gotten better at it when I've actually learned to completely let go of controlling people and just actually put people in a position to succeed.
Yeah,
Like, all
like
right,
that.
man, I need you to run this entire fucking sector, bro. I'm putting a whole bunch of weight on you. I need you to perform. Like, let me know if you need anything. Be honest with me if anything goes down. If you make any mistakes, good luck. I got your back. Like, that's actually been a style that's like, when things started really working for me, it was because of that. Because I actually realized that I wasn't some great thing, that we're all great.
Right.
You know, so like the other people I work with are equally great.
Yeah.
And I just have to let them be great. You know, and so that's how like in the new world of business, which is about a whole bunch of people coming together and building networks of webs, or like I think about it like how brains work. Like you have a synaptic connection, and in certain areas the connection is heavier. So those are actually considered memories. But there's a whole bunch of synapses forming in one spots. You know, so like I might be a heavy synapse, but I'm just connecting out to all my other synapses.
Yeah.
And they all need to become heavier.
Yeah, they need to be fed
They
too.
need to be fed, right? So my goal is to just put as many great people in power as I possibly can and let them be great, you know? And then we can all rise.
I think one thing that kind of reminds me of, just relating it to you, is you're somebody who can connect the dots, right? I think, you know, some of the most successful people out there, people can connect those dots. Because the problem, I think, with a lot of things is some stuff is just hidden in plain sight, right? Like some stuff is just so obvious that it becomes dulled. You know, it's just it hides under your nose, if you want to put a metaphor to it, right?
Right.
You know, the people who are successful, like we kind of talked about earlier, is building networks. But what is building networks? Connecting those dots, creating those intricacies, right? Mm-hmm. And putting things together. Because I think, you know, one thing that you do that I think we were talking about earlier is like create. You know, you can kind of create one steady heartbeat, one steady harmony, right? It doesn't really matter what you do, right? Because you're putting this flow to it. And I think anytime it's authentic, it has a chance of working. Right. And for me, all I need is that 51. I always tell people, like, I'm like half my mom and half my dad, which sucks because I'm torn as much as you can be torn, right? So it's
we
like
all are, bro.
It's for me, it's that constant fight for who's taking control. Is it that moral, loving, one love type, motherly harmony, or is it that 6'5" mullet asshole that's walking through next door? But he's out there gardening, picking his own flowers, bringing them in there, put them into vases in the restaurant, and people thinking, hey, who's this homeless guy? Fucking
right.
Putting flowers in the vases and changing his
not knowing
guy with the mullet who he walks by a Bigfoot outside and like, oh shit, that was related.
It's the same person.
But
not knowing that.
You know, it's that balance, right? And I think that's what it all comes back to is that balance. And I like challenges to everybody. Like, tell me something that doesn't have a balance to it or an opposite, right? Like what is just so unique that it doesn't have that counter polar opposite?
I mean, God.
Well, no, the devil.
No, not the opposite.
Oh, okay.
Just a distraction.
Preach.
Like, you know, I mean, the way that I see it, and not to get too crazy with it, but like, you know, I think all the texts lead back to one conclusion, which is that you have this center strength that comes from an origin that is like the omnipotent, you know, single great entity, and our relationship with that entity has a lot to do with our justification for our life and also our potential, our success. And you have a whole bunch of distractions that are not that entity, but they're not equal. They're just distractions. Yeah. It's like accomplishing a goal or fucking around on social media. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't equal. I mean, but it's like an equally fucked up distraction.
No, I love it.
So, like, our energy inside our brain, let's think our energy inside our brain or our body is split light and dark, 50-50, or positive, negative, whatever, however you want to look at that. And 50% of it is trying to achieve that oneness with our true self, God, whatever you want to call it. And 50% is distracted by greed, fear, lust, etc.
Yeah.
Preach,
and
brother.
that 50% that's distracted by the greed, fear, and lust is attacking the oneness part.
So I'm gonna bestow on you, Mr. Josh Berman, who we've only what is this, like the fourth time we've ever
Close, maybe more, maybe fifth.
Fourth, fifth, handful, right? Let's go handful.
Every time good though. Every time big.
Oh, beautiful! No, beautiful, beautiful.
Big is
But
beautiful.
it's the fourth, fifth time, right? So we've done the
Quick encounters, bro.
I think we were talking. About this earlier. This is going to be like between the 11th to 13th episode officially, right? With some part
13.
This could be 14.
He's
could
lucky.
be 13,
No, he's
14,
13.
12,
He's 13. He's lucky 13.
He's like,
Yeah.
lucky 13.
A righteous number.
My favorite number.
A righteous number.
Yeah. So
Really?
A hidden number.
so usually I said
12
it.
disciples plus 1 is 13. That's where the whole thing got fucked up.
Yeah.
I was born on 13th.
It's not. It's actually it's a great number that was turned into an evil number by evil people in order to hide its greatness. It's just like everything.
It's like 666.
Right.
Exactly.
I love it. I love 13.
Well, 666 is it comes from Euclid, okay, from
21.
Pythagoras. So Pythagorean theorem. So 6 is a perfect square. It's 3, 2, 1.
Well, also 369 from Nikola Tesla.
Right. But 3, 2,
The
1.
divine numbers.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1 is a perfect triangle.
Right.
The triangle is the divine way to build.
I'm really good at math, so that's actually
think about
this is
the
actually prefacing what we're about to get into.
Good, because math is my love. So trigonometry, Rick.
I love pyramids.
Spherical trigonometry.
Trigonometry,
Let's get
just
into
basic
that.
trigonometry.
Let's get into spherical trigonometry
We'll get into
in a little bit.
We'll get into
Finish.
that.
I don't mean to
But
cut you off. My bad.
basic trigonometry built by Pythagoras. Pythagoras
He was Greek.
is Greek, and he invented the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is the actual theorem that's used to build everything. Look outside this window. Where do you see triangles?
The strongest thing. Look, tripod.
Triangles are the fundamental building block of life.
Yep.
Of all of the
Unfinished.
Hence why it's on the fucking the dollar bill.
Correct.
Why is
So
the fucking
idea
A pyramid is an unfinished life.
So Pythagoras, who created the Pythagorean theorem, started a school called the Pythagorean School when he amassed this great amount of followers, where once he realized the power of the triangle, he downloaded massive amounts of information. And this is before Socrates, Plato. This is this is at the time of King David. So that's way up the fuck north, though, where God is downloading a bunch of shit into that group. He's downloading a bunch of shit into Pythagoras. And what he downloaded was the power of the triangle and what triangulation means for relationships with humans, for GPS, for building temples, for building anything, but also for how humanity works. The triangulation of pushing two people against each other and creating a wedge. Like this whole thing made him so powerful that the Greeks at the time cast him out to an island and made all the Pythagoreans live on an island together, because when they amassed this power, they started taking over fucking Greece. So they got outcasts, and you know what they called them? The Pythagorean Illuminati. That was the birthplace of the Illuminati. The Illuminati was created by Pythagoras, and it was
fucking Greeks created.
Hey, Illuminati! If you're recruiting, I'm gonna do some Joe Rogan shit. I'll lie to my mother.
Yeah, but like
Sorry,
no,
Mom.
and the Illuminati. I
want to know the secrets to the world.
No, I'm telling you right now, dude.
I want them to tell me it's flat.
No, I'm not. I won't tell you that, but I will tell you this, because the Illuminati was created by the Greeks, and it was actually a beautiful, powerful, amazing thing.
It's to be illuminated to the
The
truth.
Illuminati is not a bad thing. There's a dark and a light side to it, and if you look at
constant fight,
and you can, exactly,
it's
and
balance.
you can find a lot of people who will support this truth. It's not my truth, but the truth is that it started with Pythagoras. And so, and this was going on at the same time. King David, they were getting a whole nother download up in Jerusalem with King Solomon flying around with angels around the world, spreading this crazy divine seed that was the covenant, you know. And then there was also this illuminated thing going on in Egypt and Greek as well. That's why it's all one. It's all the same knowledge, and it's coming into different places in different ways, right? Yep. So when Pythagoras and the Pythagorean Illuminati figured out this sort of architecture, they were able to build this knowledge and begin to take over the world, or that part of the Western world. So, for instance, like, you know, when Have a Heart took over, this is some crazy shit. Okay, you remember when they had the fucking the exchange over on Lake City Way up on 125th? Remember that shit?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So that was an old Masonic temple, right?
Yes, it was.
So like when Ryan and my dad bought that spot, they left the library behind. So me and Kunkel were going in there and reading the Masonic library while the shit was in transfer.
You and I went in there.
Were you there when the library was there, bro?
Yeah, we went in there together when.
So this is back when like Julian was painting it out. Yep. You know, rest in peace.
Before Julian, R.I.P. Was in there painting. Like, we all kind of went in there and we were like,
okay, so check it out. So one of the things they had was the Masonic Testament, which was the Bible of the lodge, and was sitting on the major block. I had this in my iPhone for a long time until I was told to erase it. But I went through and started taking pictures of every page. My homie Rozzy Spade.
It was a Bush one.
Who's a 32nd degree Mason down in fucking Tacoma, and he was like, "Get that out of your shit right now."
You can also.
He's also a South Tacoma Crip. Fucking.
But you know,
D-Spade is a whole nother level.
You know, the 32nd degree Masons be preaching flat Earth in the book, right?
Well, look,
seen it?
And you know, it could find the same testament.
Should we go flat Earth? Because and the only reason I say that is because you're a physics guy and you oppose me, right? So I don't want to talk. So I always tell people this, right? Like, flat earthers are like vegans. Vegans don't like other vegans. Flat earthers don't really like other flat earthers because you got to be a certain type of crazy to believe in that stuff.
Right. So what type of crazy are you? I don't understand.
I'm a flat earther. I'm retarded. I'm full. So and you know Tropic Thunder, when he's like, "You never go full retard."
Right.
I've gone full retard.
But what does that mean, though? Like, explain that to me.
Let's look at this right here. Right, water.
Okay.
So like, I became a flat. So let me preface this, right. I had my son in 2014, right. Twin. I kind of told you those couple of stories. We won't go there, but there's a couple of stories where, it sent some deeper messages to me, having twins and then one not surviving and one surviving.
Sure.
But so that was 2014. My son was born. Then 2016, it was Thanksgiving in San Diego. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast, Eddie Bravo. He's going full, and so I think what connected me to Eddie Bravo, right, was I don't trust a liar, right? Like, somebody who lies to me, there's no going back from that, right? If you lie about one thing, you lie about everything.
Sure.
So he was like, look, the government's been known to lie. They're proven to lie. I just don't trust the government. So if the government's telling me one thing or the mainstream media's telling me one thing, I just don't believe it. So he's talking about this Eric Dubay, the history of flat Earth, and so like in this thing it goes into the Greeks, right? Because a lot of it has to do with the Greeks and this Greek connection, that Eddie Bravo connection. It's just creating this little tunnel vision of a little night I'm about to have, the night before Thanksgiving, 2016. I watched this Eric Dubay video, the history of flat Earth. I'm a flat earther in 20 minutes. Right, and and that's just like the millennial of me, right? Just the jump to, right, the jump to the new fresh fad idea that I had, right? Like, not that I really was a flat earther, right? Not that I even to this day am a flat earther. I think we live inside the ball, not on the ball, right? Put it like that, okay, right? But so the thing that got me was water, man. What is the Earth made up of? 2% water, right? Mm-hmm. What do they teach us? It kind of goes back to the non-binary thing. It's like, how does science get less true the older we get? So what do they teach us really early on? Physics 101. The water will always seek and find its level, right? That's just the physics of it, right? That's why what do you call those?
It's entropy.
The level things, right?
Right.
The other part. Let's not get into the boy-girl thing. But how does that science, how does that chemistry get less true, biology get less true? But for me, it was just like you can't prove that there's curvature. And it gets back to what we were talking about earlier, the trigonometry, right? So for me, I was saying it's spherical trigonometry. If the ball is 25,000 miles in circumference, there should be a standard rate of curvature at some point somewhere, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be somewhat consistent, right?
Right.
A ball. There's nowhere that you can measure that. There's nowhere you can prove that measurement exists. So it's one of two things, right? Like either the ball is way bigger than they tell us, which is entirely possible, or it's just not curving. It's just something different, right? Like, and I think that I don't ever like to say flat Earth, so I'm a snow glober. No, seriously. I think we live. I think it's the same.
I don't know about that. I heard this.
I think it's the same concept. We just live inside the ball as opposed to outside. So tell me because we
you want to talk about? Okay, I'll talk about the physics.
I want you to tell me about. So like, I think the one thing that we'll always split ways on is you're intrigued by theoretical physics, and I'm intrigued by what like you can just show me in front of me, but I think there's limitations and downsides to both, where I need to be more open-minded because some shit is beyond what's explained in the scene.
Theoretical physics, like let me preface that there's some things that are theoretical and there's some things that are actualized. Like the idea of light bending around gravity, that's been proven, right? That's been proven in red dwarf. The actualization of red dwarf and blue dwarf stars, which basically when light bends one direction leaving, it makes a red, it looks red, and when it bends another direction coming this way, it looks blue, and that has to do with the frequency of the light. Physicists can explain this much better than me. But like the idea of light bending is something that's fundamentally understood. That's the only reason why this was actually proven. If you ever look at that movie Einstein and Edison, go look at that movie Einstein and Edison. What that was the capturing of the first solar or lunar eclipse, where they actually proved that light bent around the moon when there was a lunar eclipse because of what time the eclipse occurred at. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so like when the eclipse came into a certain time, like the light bent a certain way, and based upon the time, like they proved that light bent. Does that make sense? So like the idea of light bending around time is something that was proven by E = mc squared, or basic relativity and special relativity. And so what happens is the reason why you can't actually see a curvature of the Earth, or why you can't actually measure it from the Earth, is because there's you're seeing a curvature occur, but it looks flat to you, but it's actually bent because your perception bends around gravity. And that's what people have a really hard time understanding, is that the light that looks like it's straight out there, it's actually out there at an angle. But because it's bending and we don't see the bend in our perception, we just see it coming out as straight. And that when you actually dig into the relativistic experiments that Einstein created, with like two trains light moving in two different directions, what happens? And he broke the math out and why relativity actually exists in the first place, which is that like this is why biocentrism, which I was talking about before, which is the eye of the observer. Relativity was the first theory that actually made the eye of the observer a real thing, because the universe is relative to the eye of the observer.
I think that I agree
Relativity
with.
actually proved that with E = mc squared. So what that means is that while you observe that it's flat, right out there at the horizon, you're actually seeing a bend. But because it's bending around gravity, you're seeing it, you're perceiving it as flat, but there's actually a curvature to it. And that's the fucked up thing that people have a hard time coming to grips with, because it's an illusion. I just don't trust anybody that married
their cousin.
Yeah, no, I get that, but like every single,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, but every single great person has a weird quirk like that.
Not that one though.
You know,
if you can't do basic math, I don't think you can do real math.
What does that mean?
So I mean, they say he couldn't do simple math.
No, that's not true at all. Like, look,
Einstein. I say that to be the devil's advocate.
And Einstein was an advanced degree mathematician. The reason why
I think he was a brilliant mind.
Reason why they say he couldn't do the reason why he said he wasn't that great of a student was because his teachers told him that he couldn't have a traditional scholarship because he was fighting them. because they were all Newtonian mathematics, and he created a new level of math.
He proved Newtonian gravity wrong.
It was wrong because of the things I'm talking about, curvature.
So how do you feel about Nikola Tesla?
But like saying that the Earth is flat is actually like saying that Newtonian mathematics is real and Einsteinian mathematics is false. That's like the same idea. Because the curvature of the Earth idea, that alone is the basic premise of Einsteinian mathematics, is that light and energy curves around space-time. That's the fundamental idea. Space-time creates gravitational pull sectors. So like when light shoots towards a gravitational mass, it'll curve around it like that. It takes longer to go around gravity than it does to go straight through. So when you get to a clump zone where there's a high amount of gravity, like any like any particle with heavy mass, it takes gravity longer to pass through it. And they've proven this. And the reason why is because it has to curve around it. It has to go through more space-time. So
how do you prove something like that?
By timing it. So like for instance, like right now, like they'll take a watch and they'll do a perfect scientific tuning, and they'll put one of the watches on a spaceship or on a satellite that goes out to 10 miles outside of Earth's atmosphere, and then they'll keep another one here.
Well, we can't go outside of Earth's atmosphere.
What do you mean? We have satellites that are out there right now all the time.
No, we don't.
Yeah, stop it.
No, we don't.
Stop it. If you're gonna talk to me like that, bro, like a fucking Neanderthal.
NASA says we can't go beyond the Van Allen radiation belt.
Oh, come on, bro.
That's outside. That would be outside Earth's atmosphere.
We have a Mars rover over there right now. We have a rover on Mars right now, dog.
Do you think there's
Here we go.
Do you think there's a Tesla going to Mars right now?
It's not a Tesla.
A Roadster?
No, it's not. It's a fucking
Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Fucking
it's an imagination,
drone, homie. No, it's.
I literally don't believe in space in the sense that we believe in it. It goes against the second law of thermodynamics. You can't have a vacuum next to a pressurized system. If there's no barrier between Earth,
there is. It's the atmosphere. That is the barrier.
What's the atmosphere?
The atmosphere.
They say it's the one that we can't take humans through. So do you believe that we took humans to the moon?
Yeah. No, I don't necessarily believe that there wasn't some fictitious shit going on with the moon landing.
It's the only time that technology.
The Russians have been there for sure. The Russians have been there.
Fuck.
They've been there.
If we've been to the moon,
if we haven't been there, they have.
I always tell people this: if we had actually gone to the moon, we would have a McDonald's and a Starbucks and a Subway there.
What, to feed the aliens, bro?
Yeah, bro.
One day
we would have some shit there. We'd be kicking it.
Space traffic.
It'd be the next wave. Fuck the PJ. I need the AJ.
Look, I recognize anti, and I get it, but I'm saying there's like a level to it. You know what I'm saying? There's like a backlash of when it's too far. And like there's some basic
I went full retard. I told you this.
It's all good, and I'm trying to bring you back a little. Like the thing is that
I need this.
There's basic things. There's basic things that have occurred before the media took over the world.
We didn't go to the moon though. You understand that people outside of America don't think we went to the moon.
I recognize that.
You understand people over 60 more than likely don't think we went to the moon.
Look, I recognize that. Like, there's a big theory about that.
You do understand? We talked to Nixon talked to the people on the moon from a landline.
I recognize that we probably faked the landing of the moon. Yeah, okay. But I do believe we've been to the moon. I just don't think we got it. I don't think that we actually were able to capture anything.
Do you think it's a rock that's being lit up by the sun?
Yeah, but I also think there's a dark side to the moon.
So you don't.
Where there might be an alien colony.
And so I'm
like 50-50.
No, I'm with you.
I believe on like physics.
I think
there's certain things that like a million. Here's the thing. What you got to. Here's how you have to base your belief.
Okay.
There's certain things that like a million fucking scientists can all at the same time verify by math.
Okay.
That God wrote.
I love math.
God wrote math. God wrote math, right? So when a million people on different countries that don't talk to each other can all verify the same fucking thing, it's real. Period.
That is local.
There's no fucking
sunlight is local. You can't have a hotspot from something 93 million miles away.
The sun bounces off the moon. Okay?
Sun rays.
Now,
no, it doesn't. That's a light. They emit their own light.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't. We don't.
How is moon shade warmer than moon sun or moon light? It could
be radioactive. I don't know. But we
don't.
Well,
they say it's the reflection.
I don't know about that one. That's an interesting one. And
no, real shit. Like if you're in the sun right on the beach, you're under the umbrella, you're in the shade. The shade is cooler than the sunlight directly, right?
Right.
And you can go test this yourself, right, with any type of device. The moon shade is warmer than the moon light. So
really?
again, Yeah, so like, and I don't remember what it was called. It's like I don't remember what it was called. It was it's like something you can do with a positive charge, a negative charge, and salt water.
The moonshade never gets light. Half of the moon never gets light.
Well, theoretically, I just think it's a light.
No,
like what you can't shine a light on a rock and light that rock 100%. Like the tip or the edge of the moon is the same brightness as the middle of the moon. How's that work on a sphere? It's not a sphere.
Because the moon
so far away, but they're the same size, so that takes it out to me.
No, it's just that the moon never moves position. The moon is it doesn't rotate. It actually holds the same spot so that we're always seeing the same exact spot on the moon at all times. That's why it always looks like the man on the moon. You never see the dark side of the moon. That's why there's the big theory about the alien colony living on the dark side of the moon, which I actually don't think I don't actually think that is that crazy. Like the dark side of our moon can never be seen by us.
So here's what I believe, right? If we take not to go flat earth or cut you off, right? But like, it doesn't matter what the shape is. It doesn't matter, right? Whether it's flat or we live on a ball and we're a bunch of evolutionized monkeys that came from a bunch of retarded squirrel minnows that came out of the water, whatever you want to believe. Great to me. What I think is there's a blend between scientism, the modern evolution, Big Bang theory, and the old, which I also don't prescribe to, is the old man-made religion thing where God and there's Adam and Eve and apparently we're all related. But I think there's that balance where, to me, right, there's the 7 wonders of the world, right? There's certain steps in certain places that are fucking massive. We still to this day cannot explain how the pyramids were built, and there are explanations. I just don't think any of them actually pan out if you do them, with engineering.
Yeah, about 50.
But my point is, what my belief is like a lot of these ancient petrified, like the Devil's Tower in like Wyoming. Like I think there were ancient giant trees and ancient giant people. Like I also don't believe in dinosaurs. I don't. There's not
the fuck are those goddamn bones from then?
What, fossil fuels? Petroleum oil is the second most rejuvenated, renewable, replenishing substance on Earth behind water. I mean, water replenishes itself. Earth refines its own water and replenishes it.
What does that have to do with the dinosaur bones?
The fossil fuels are just a scarcity thing, right? If you go to any museum that they say there's dinosaur bones, they're not real dinosaur. If you look into it, they're not real dinosaur bones. All the real dinosaur bones are at the Smithsonian, but you can't see them.
Oh, they're all fakes?
Well, yeah, anything in a museum. All real dinosaur bones are at the Smithsonian, supposedly.
Really?
Yeah. Jesus. Just like pictures of Earth.
It's like Joe Rogan. I need someone pulling that shit out. Yo, pull that up.
I'm telling you,
Dustin.
Eddie Bravo, bro.
Pull it up.
Jamie.
We're gonna hire
Jamie.
We're gonna hire
you
Jamie.
guys need one more dude to run the camera.
Yeah, we need a Jamie.
Like,
or
Jasmine.
Now look,
Jamie or Jasmine.
Look. My boy's mom runs the Burke Museum. For like my best friend Matt's mom runs the Burke Museum.
What's the Burke Museum?
It's true.
That's UW's archaeology museum. It's the most like
I've done many
interviews. It has
there.
more acclaim than any archaeology museum on the West Coast by far. It's where like the fucking Ken McMahon lives, the oldest man in the world. He's at the Burke Museum.
Okay.
They got hella bones there, bro. And that's why it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't necessarily think that's true, bro. I just don't think. There's too many scientists.
There's never.
Those kind of conspiracies don't come off. They can't come off.
There's never been a full.
Like chemtrails?
There's never been a full.
That's
dinosaur.
real.
Oh, let's go to chemtrails.
Okay, that's
First
real.
of all,
there are chemtrails that you can look at and be like, yo,
I'll challenge people to this. If you listen to this, go find a museum that will tell you that is 100% skeleton,
I know they do fillers. I know they do fillers at all, but that's different.
But
it'll be like half a skeleton, half a filler.
The thing is 99%, which is basically 100% of real dinosaur fossils go to the Smithsonian. Everything else is plaster. Like nothing you go to at a museum, other than supposedly the Smithsonian, is real. That's all I'm saying.
Really?
Yeah. Like, and this isn't like a secret. Like you go there and you say, "Is this a real dinosaur bone?" They'll say, "No. It's a mold. The real ones are at the Smithsonian." You can't go see with a full one anywhere, or even partials.
It's fucking nonsense.
It's crazy. Just like NASA will say, we can't give you a real image of the Earth because we don't have satellites that far away. And they're like, what? I thought you
really? What do you mean?
So NASA claims the only real image of Earth that is not CGI doctored is the 1972 one.
Really?
That's what NASA says. Don Pettit says,
Bring it up, Dustin. Fact checking.
When we go smoke this next blunt, we'll talk about it.
All right.
If you want to get back on.
Is it possible?